Hello, I'm Barrett Boone, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with executives of two public companies. First up is Unusual Machines, stock symbol UMAC on the New York Stock Exchange American. Unusual Machines is looking to address a massive supply chain challenge here in the United States for domestically manufactured drones. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO, Alan Evans, later in the show. Up next is Calidi Biotherapeutics, stock symbol CLDI on the New York Stock Exchange American. Calidi Biotherapeutics is a clinical stage immuno-oncology company with proprietary technology designed to arm the immune system to fight cancer. Calidi's novel stem cell-based platforms are utilizing potent allogenic stem cells capable of carrying payloads of oncolotic viruses for use in multiple oncology indications. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to the first interview, our quote of the week. It comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. I had grown tired of backing make-believe CEOs and entrepreneurs, so my partners and I went on the board, took a hands-on approach, built the company, and put in a solid management team, then sold the company to Yahoo. This quote comes from Barry Honig, GRQ Consultants, and is featured in Chapter 10 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with Unusual Machines.
Alan, thanks for being with us today.
I appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on your IPO to the New York Stock Exchange.
Thanks. No, excited about it. It's just the start.
I'm excited too. You're addressing a $17 billion market just in drone parts, which you're a manufacturer of drone parts, and you have a division that manufactures, sells drones. Give us an overview of the technology in the company and your vision for the company.
No problem. I think the technology is a little different. If you think about the drone industry, everybody talks about the AI or the cameras or whatever else. But what you're seeing, especially in the US, is nobody's trying to build the motors, the props, the pieces that make it go. And that's really where, in first-person view, which is all the goggles and the hobbyists and the things you're seeing in like the Ukraine-Russian conflict, it's all those mid-tech pieces that require manufacturing excellence and everything else. And that's really where our focus is on almost the boring stuff, like the stuff that isn't part of the flash and the hype right now, but really the very underrepresented part of the market.
So what kind of parts then? Give us some examples.
So the goggles that people wear, right? They're very specific. They connect to the drone as a type of part. The flight controller for some of these quick drones that sort of takes the radio input and steers the drone. The literal motor itself, in terms of how it's wound and how it takes the batteries. And these are all the sorts of parts that just aren't getting the same attention in the US that the suppliers right now are all out of China for this.
Right, so they're all out of China, but there's some legislation coming up in 2026. Talk to us about that legislation, how it will affect your business.
Oh yeah, this is massive driver. It's called the American Securities Drone Act. It was passed as part of the defense budget by the US government in December. What that says is by about January 2026, no federal dollars can be used to buy or operate a Chinese drone. To simplify it a little bit, if the Department of Transportation wants to inspect a highway right now, they go hire a company and they go fly a Chinese drone and give the data back. That company won't be able to take that contract because they won't even be able to use the money to pay the salary to fly the drone. And this is going to create just a massive changeover to U.S. manufacturing of drones and the U.S. purchase of drones that's going to require a supply chain that doesn't go through China.
Are there any dominant players now manufacturing in the U.S., these parts?
No, for some of these parts, nobody's making them in the U.S. right now. If you look at Teal Drone, Skydio, a lot of these companies, most of the motors, for instance, are coming out of China still because that's where the supply chain is.
Okay. So you're doing about $6 million in revenue now between the two divisions. Break that down. You've got the parts division and again the drones themselves. So break down the revenue.
Yeah, so we look at it as a retail channel and then the parts. And we're doing about $4.5 million through the retail channel, and that's been growing very quickly. And we're just starting to do B2B parts, and that's been about $2 million with our long-term branded parts. Okay. And we see that really being able to start to grow. Really short-term demand. You know, everybody talks about Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine saying they're going to build 1 million drones, Russia 2 million drones in 2024. They want to buy parts from everywhere. But then long-term, the legislation is going to cause all the American manufacturers to need parts. So we see the ability to launch, scale, and then kind of carry forward to be this big tier 1 supplier.
So you've got basically a year and a half to position yourself as the dominant player for parts for drones in the U.S. What do you have to do to get there?
Go as fast as we can, build out supply chains. Absolutely have to focus on being cash flow positive, because I think any speculative or loss leaders are going to put us in a position where we'll get buried. And then start to really develop these relationships. What's really cool about this is if you look, Rotor Riot, which is one of the companies we have, they have this YouTube channel. And we had 4.5 million views last year, but everybody viewing it are the people that build their own drones. It turns out almost all the program managers at all the US companies all started as enthusiasts. So we even have really strong brands and a direct communication channel to the decision makers. And so it should be very easy to get a foot in the door and start as a second source.
Let's go back to geopolitical events. A lot of wars in the world. Ukraine's using drones. Will you sell into Ukraine, or do you now?
Yeah, we've sold stuff to charities that ship to Ukraine directly, to parts for people shipping over there. You know, we see what they're doing and the new technology aspects, and particularly in that conflict, sort of defending Europe as being worthwhile. China sells to both sides, and one of the things the Ukrainian whole buying enterprise is concerned about is what if Russia buys everything China can make and there's no supply chain? And so they're as interested as domestic manufacturers in a diversified supply chain.
And you have purchase orders now with the Department of Defense, correct?
Yeah, we've had different U.S. government entities buy through our store just directly and place POs as they start to look at what can be done here, and good relationships with everybody there.
And you're also seeking the NDA approval?
Yeah, so if you look, NDAA compliance, which is National Defense Authorization Act, shows that you have to sort of source your stuff from non-entity countries. And so when we're looking at building out the supply chain and becoming this tier 1 supplier, we are absolutely developing it to avoid any of those even sub-assemblies that might come from places that would cause it to not be qualified for this U.S. purchase in 2026.
You raised $5 million on the IPO.
Yeah.
How far will that get you?
$5 million on the IPO will get us past 2 years. Really? We're really focused on cash flow. Our burn's low. Everything we're doing is cash flow focused.
Okay.
And that puts us into 2026. So we are comfortable, even where we're at, getting to the opportunity window.
What about an acquisition strategy?
We think it's actually super important to consider, and that's why we listed when we did. We're looking at companies that fit our model, either as additional channel or component providers, but we're focused on ones that are cash flow positive. So we think if we can go find a domestic motor company to partner with that may be doing something else and they're small, okay, boom, positive cash flow. Let's go bring them into the family. You know, that type of thing, to be in a position to win the market. So if you think about it, if in 2026 everybody has to replace their drones, in 2025 all these other companies will be launching their next generation of product, which means we as a supplier need to be positioned to start to deliver mid-2025, and we need to have samples for them early 2025. And so I think if we're really disciplined and we maintain this cash flow notion to build a really effective business in this segment, then acquisitions can be a really important part of us getting there faster and just taking that dominant position.
Alan, let's talk about your background, why you joined the company.
Yeah, I don't know how far back you want to go, but coming into business for me was initially an accident. I got my PhD in engineering. I was an individual contributor, and I didn't understand why decisions were being made. And so I eventually tried to figure out and learn how to do it. But starting Avigant and then going to Fat Shark, had I known what it would entail, I probably would have never done it. So naivety got me going. And then really what I saw here and why Unusual Machines is this really big opportunity in sort of bringing everything back to the US. And that to me, growing up in Michigan, seeing the automotive industry, seeing some of that go away and what it did to communities and to our country, I'm really excited to be able to bring back new technology and help sort of re-energize the manufacturing base in the country. I think because of that, we have a really great team. You know, the head of the consumer division is Andrew Camden. He's also out of Michigan. He's been doing drones for a long time. We have a CFO that's been a CFO of multiple public companies. We just added an amazing board member, Sandy Rich, who is on the New York Pension Fund and is actually on the committee for the PCAOB. So we're seeing a lot of gravity to this in terms of just exceptional people that are signing up. It's actually very exciting.
On that note, in terms of the growth and your vision, you're coming out with some new products, these U.S.-made flight controllers, motors, et cetera. Talk to us about those new products coming online.
Yeah, we're putting in work to try to actually start to do what we say we're going to do. The first thing we expect to have is like one of the first-person view, the FPV, sort of the drones you see with all the helmets, a flight controller made in the U.S. We expect that to come back, and we got to test it and all that jazz. It might not work right away. Sometimes these things don't, but we hope to have that in the market in the next 2 or 3 months. Okay. You know, and we expect uptake there from everybody flying these types of drones. Hopefully, we can get some over to Europe too, where they need parts. And then, as we're starting to explore ways to build motors, motor controllers, some of these other things that are really in demand. Okay. And then we're looking to go second source for people to help them build out redundancy of their supply chains. Okay. So next, 6 months, you'll start to see new products hit the market, and we're hoping that people like them as much as we do.
Alan, we've covered a lot of territory today. What's the essential value proposition? Why should investors consider investing in the company today?
The American Securities Drone Act, passed in December, is going to wipe out all Chinese drones from any U.S. government money. This is going to create huge demand for U.S.-made drones. Those drone manufacturers, there are a lot of them, we've heard about a lot of them, they don't have a supply chain that's U.S.-made. We're going to fill that first tier 1 supply chain, and that is going to be a massive market opportunity. What's even more valuable for today is, given the conflict in Ukraine and the demand for parts for millions of drones, we don't have to wait to 2026 to start to ship products that we're able to make in that diversified supply chain. And so this is getting started, and it's going to go really fast when it happens all at once, when that turns over.
So you're addressing today, just on the parts side for drones, a $17 billion market, again, growing to, analysts estimate, to $115 billion market by 2032. Again, you've got this legislation in 2026. You execute, and this is not a $25 million market cap stock. It's considerably more.
Well, you look at some other industries that are a little more mature, like the automotive industry, which works this way. Bosch is a tier 1 supplier. In the aerospace industry, Rolls-Royce is a tier 1 supplier. This is going to be regulated by the FAA. It's going to be that big, and the suppliers, because they're qualified, there's paperwork, they do everything, you don't change them. And so being there first means you grow with the entire industry rather than betting on one company or the other.
Alan, great being with you today. Appreciate Unusual Machines, just IPO'd on the New York Stock Exchange.
The ticker's UMAC.
Now, to get more information on Unusual Machines, visit umacinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like Unusual Machines. And be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small cap companies. And also go to our website and sign up on our events page for our webinar series. We have webinars every week in which we feature several small cap public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, they'll give a presentation, and you'll be able to ask questions right after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, You can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy at redchip.com today for just $18. Now, let's move on to our next interview today with Calidi Biotherapeutics.
Hello there. Today we have Alan Kamisa, CEO of Calidi Biotherapeutics, which trades on the NYSE American under the ticker symbol CLDI. Alan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Craig, for having me here.
Can you provide us, Alan, with an overview of Calidi Biotherapeutics and its position in the expansive field of cancer treatment?
The whole area immunotherapy is how do you get the immune system to attack cancer? And so what Calidi does is we have an active ingredient, and the whole sector called oncolytic virus activates the immune system. It lyses tumor cells and then activates the immune system. But where Calidi is different is we have a cell delivery platform that protects that virus to be more powerful enough, amplifies it, so it can really overcome 9-10 pints of blood that's in the human body. So a lot of mouse studies show that it's effective, but when you go to the human body, it gets inactivated. So our cell delivery platform is the really novel therapy that we have.
Alan, for those of us who are not deeply acquainted with the science, could you explain in layman's terms what that oncolytic virotherapy is and how Calidi's platform stands out in this innovative area of cancer treatment?
Well, an oncolytic virus is I use the analogy that your body recognizes a cold virus, it's foreign, and attacks it. The cancer cells aren't recognized by the body as foreign. It grows unabated. And so the way you trick the body is you inject a virus there into the tumor cell, and the immune system recognizes it as foreign, and it starts attacking that tumor cell because there's a virus injected. So that's the theory of it. And again, where we're differentiated is that we want to protect the virus long enough to amplify and kill enough tumor cells and cause a delayed immune response.
One likens it to a Trojan horse. Is that about right?
That's correct. It's like the Trojan horse or stealth bomber, where it's invisible to the body.
Amazing. How big is the addressable market, Alan, for Calidi's therapies and the unmet medical needs that you're aiming to fulfill?
Well, the beauty of the technology is stem cells gravitate to any necrotic damaged tissues. So we believe we're universal in that we're not a small molecule. We're not targeting one specific cancer. We can address dozens of solid tumors right now with our Supernova platform. So we believe the biggest market is lung, and then obviously breast, prostate. But we've actually had our first generation product in 26 patients. And we call this autologous trial.
That's fascinating, Alan. Now, could you provide us an overview of the entire pipeline? I want to know about their current stages of development and especially what makes each program unique.
Yes, sir. Craig, the most advanced program we have is Neuronova, which is using adenovirus in combination with neurostem cells. That already had a phase 1 trial in Northwestern, and it was published in Lancet. So our most advanced trial right now is already in the clinic for recurring glioblastoma. We're doing the trial. The headquarters is in City of Hope, Pasadena. We dosed 7 patients already. Clinical safety and enrollment update at ASCO on the clinical trial that is presently underway at City of Hope. The second trial that's going to be launched and FDA approved is going to be at Northwestern for newly diagnosed glio. And that's going to be probably announced in the next 30 to 45 days. That's a phase 1b/2a. The significance of these trials is that the glio is a very deadly area, and the median lifespan is a certain time frame, and we can extend the life with these stem cells. If we kill the tumor cells with repeated doses, it's very promising because the first publication was very, very well received at Lancet. And the third asset we have is Supernova, which is targeting multiple solid tumors. That'll be in the clinic late this year. We did a safety trial of 26 patients several years ago using the patient's own stem cells. Now we're going to use allogeneic cells, which is more universal, and it's more broader, that we can make more of this product to thousands and thousands of patients. So that one's going to be targeting triple-negative breast, head and neck, melanoma, sarcoma. And those are the type of indications we're targeting.
You know, Alan, it's so exciting. You're working on glioblastoma, a truly deadly killer. You're working with City of Hope and Northwestern, household names. I would expect that there are going to be some milestones and catalysts coming up in the near term that we can expect. Could you elaborate, please?
The key milestone is that if we can show 50% progression-free and increase the median standard of lifespan for these patients from 6 to 8 months, it should be a groundbreaking milestone to be potentially approved on a registrational phase 2. So you don't have to do phase 3 with glio because it's such an unmet need. But we're all excited about that milestone. The other one is starting the phase 1b/2a at Northwestern, which is now the second trial that Dr. Lesniak, the chief of neurosurgery, is going to conduct. And we also have the President Biden's doctor, Dr. Alfred Young, who's on our advisory board, who tried to save his son of glioblastoma. And so it had promise. It was a naked virus, but it wasn't powerful enough to do the job. So he's a big fan of using stem cells to deliver virus for brain cancer patients.
Very exciting, Alan. Let's turn now to your great leadership team. I was just so impressed with your extensive experience, including growing companies significantly in scale and revenue. How does your great experience and the experience of your other team members shape the strategic direction and long-term potential of Calidi?
That's a good question. We believe that we have a very collaborative environment. I've got patent recognition. Some of my executives have been with me in other companies. And I'm really pleased that we really know how to move the ball when it comes to potential licensing and business partnerships. So we have a strong scientific, but also a strong business team in combination, which is rare.
All right, Alan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Now, give us the essential value proposition. Why should any investor take an interest in your company right now?
You know, we're undervalued. We had a valuation before we went public. Fundamentally, the technology is strong. We keep getting state and federal grants. And so we believe that state of California awarded 3 grants in the last year and a half, $20 million on our platform. So it shows validation by agencies that we have the technology.
Thank you, Alan. What a fascinating story. Thanks again.
Now, to get more information on Calidi Biotherapeutics, visit CLDIinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like Calidi Biotherapeutics. And be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn a lot about a lot of small cap companies. And also go to our website, sign up for our events page where we have webinars every week. We feature small cap public companies on these webinars. You'll hear straight from the CEO and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can order the book Small Stocks, Big Money, written by RedChip's CEO, which features interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for only $18. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met Unusual Machines, stock symbol UMAC on the New York Stock Exchange American. Unusual Machines is pioneering a market that is set to explode in 2026. Pretty soon, no US government dollars can be spent to fly or buy a Chinese-built drone. Unusual Machines is there to address the supply chain that will really open up in the coming years. Learn more at www.umacinfo.com. Then you met Calidi Biotherapeutics. Calidi Biotherapeutics is a clinical stage immuno-oncology company with proprietary technology designed to arm the immune system to fight cancer. Calidi's novel stem cell-based platforms are utilizing potent allogenic stem cells capable of carrying payloads of oncolotic viruses for use in multiple oncology indications. Learn more at www.cldI.com. CLDIinfo.com. Don't forget to check out our stocks page. It's the biggest small cap stock portal in the industry. Every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and under. And it's categorized by industries. Also, be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small cap companies. And also go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have several webinars every week in which we feature small cap public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO. And you'll be able to ask questions after that. And once again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of the asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip clients, and we may own stock in these companies. So please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you next week with some new, exciting emerging growth companies.
Every year, more than 300,000 people globally are diagnosed with glioblastoma, a type of brain cancer that is almost always fatal, a multi-billion-dollar problem. Now, Calidi Bio, an NYSE company, is developing a new stem cell technology to treat this deadly cancer, using stem cells and a therapeutic payload. Calidi Bio harnesses our own immune system to destroy cancerous cells while leaving our healthy cells unharmed. Calidi Bio, changing the paradigm in the treatment of cancer.